Have you ever wanted to play a fun game in class? Well, you shouldn't. Unless that game is Donut Dan. If you watch my videos, which I know you do, you may or may not have heard that name at least once before. Donut Dan is a popular platformer game series made on Scratch. Each game has 50 very difficult levels, each to play through, and deep lore. All of the Donut Dan games are completely free to play, and no download is required. If you like the sound of that, listen for more information in this speech, and then go play Donut Dan afterward. What was the development like? According to Newbie Flash, the creator of the game, the idea for Donut Dan came to him in 7th grade social studies class. He was bored and thought to himself, hey, I haven't touched Scratch in a long time. He was playing through his old game and thought, I could do something with this. And then he started on a new game, using a simple gravity script and a donut character. I asked him how he chose the name Donut Dan, and he replied that it was simply alliteration. There are lots of games in the Donut Dan series. When the first game was such a success, Newbie Flash decided to make a second, Donut Dan, the sequel. This game was much more complex than the last. It had a pause menu, orange shrinking stuff, customization, lore, and a boss fight. But that wasn't enough. The community wanted more Donut Dan. So we started working on a final game, Donut Dan, the finale. More in-depth lore, moving obstacles, and the ability to crash your browser. The game was so complex it had to be split into 2 parts. Remember how I said there's lore? Well, it goes pretty in-depth. In the first game, Dan finds himself trapped in the mysterious white void, with an even more mysterious text guiding him as he progresses. The text seemed like a very good ally. In the second game, Dan finds himself trapped once again in the void, but this time the text is acting differently. The text eventually confesses to being the one who trapped him. Then the text transforms into an evil bagel named Malm and attacks Donut Dan. And finally, in the finale, Donut Dan knows that he has to defeat Malm once and for all. After he completes Malm's newest labyrinth, he discovers the secret of the world around him and defeats Malm in the final battle. Seeing as I still have way more talking to do, I'm going to talk about the Donut Dan spin-offs and other games in the Donut Dan cinematic universe. Definitely not spin-off of Marvel or anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. Bagel Bob is the game I am currently working on. It features a bagel as a character, not a donut, and uses the same physics and controls as Donut Dan. One key difference is that the 50 levels loop indefinitely in random order, which is why I personally like to call it the infinite platformer. Newbie Flash says there will not be a 4th Donut Dan game, but is in the process of making a 2-player PvP game, where one player is Donut Dan and the other is Malum. The game is very buggy, and Malum is too OP, but I'm sure all of that will be fixed very soon. Now, you think I've gone over everything, but there's more. Donut Dan has a speedrunning community. Donut Dan has recently been accepted onto speedrun.com, so now anyone can submit a run whenever they want. As of the time of writing this, the world record for completing all of the first Donut Dan game is 6 minutes and 5 seconds. And with that, I believe I have gone over everything Donut Dan. If you thought any of that stuff was interesting, stop everything you are doing right now and go play Donut Dan. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. Yeah, I'll see you later.